Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. The counter's jumping around a bit here. I might even start that again. Hi, folks. You're with Tacitus today, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I talk about the top sort of most prominent, most powerful, call them what you like, social media censors. These are the people that make the final decision on censoring individual sort of posts or tweets or whatever, photos, could be anything, and on who censoring the various people that are making these tweets, or various organizations or platforms and so on. So if you look at so just do a basic thing, and you can do this yourself. Look at how many Republican people are, as in, the Republican members of Congress, for example, or Republican members of the various state legislatures and Republican appointed judges and things like that. So you look at that and look at the amount of people from that side that are either deboosted, suppressed, removed entirely, individual postings or tweets taken down. Compare that, and then compare the Democrat side of things, the LGBTQ radical activists and all that sort of thing, and look at the amount of posts that they make that are taken down or where they're deboosted or removed entirely, that sort of thing. And you'll find that it's it's not even close. Now, the interesting too is the amount of vitriolic hatred that the people on the left can pour on everyone else, and not get taken down or suppressed or removed. But even the most sort of low level, that the softest criticism of anyone on the left, or criticism of the LGBT community or trans or whatever, that's enough to get you banned for hate speech. So there are two very different standards that are applied. Now there's a lot of talk that the leftists, the guys like the Yoel Roths and those sort of things, very, very fragile, mentally very fragile, homosexual leftist activists, they argue, well, we're all going to die. They're trying to kill us. Nazis everywhere are trying to kill us. So we have to do it. So they give themselves this insane license to act arbitrarily on the basis that Hitler is running around trying to kill them all. And then an utterly absurd claim and fanciful to the extreme, but they use this and say, well, because Hitler is trying to kill us all, we are now allowed to do whatever we want in response. We don't have to prove anything. We can do what we want, when we want, how we want, because we're the morally superior ones. And that seems to be, well, not seems to be, it is sort of how things go. But I wanted to look particularly at the people making these decisions. So I've picked or selected as far as I can tell, are the top 10 censors. These people that make the final decision. These are the same people that decided to deplatform Donald Trump, for example, and so on. Remember, we're not just talking Donald Trump, the individual. We're talking the sitting elected president of the United States. Just let that sink in for a moment. Now, these top 10 people, they're not representative of the community. You hear from the left all the time, we have to represent the community we serve, and all that silly, idiotic, fantastic nonsense that they come out with. But they don't seem to want that when it comes to this, the community we serve. They don't seem to think about that when they're deciding who to appoint and pick and select as the censors. So let's look at this top 10. Now, 6 of them were not born in the United States. 4 of them came to the United States as adults, or came to the West, mainly the United States, but came to the West as adults. And all of them have a visceral hatred of the West, of white people, of white society, the fact that the white culture has been in the ascendant for close than 300 years or more than 300 years. And they have this association, all straight white people, Christians, are pretty much all Nazis. If they're not Nazis, then they're Ku Klux Klan. And they're evil because their ancestors owned slaves, even though, 2 or 3% of the white population owned any slaves at all, even servants. They're being very, very selective in the cherry picking of the so-called evil I think they're discovering. But they're white society's evil top to bottom, and they believe this, even though they flock to the West for its wealth. They despise and hate the West, white society, Western institutions, Western structures. Now, these people come from dirt poor basket case, super, super corrupt countries. And you'd think there'd be things about the West that they would admire, the free elections, well, mostly, or up until recently, perhaps. Rule of law, independent courts of law again, up until when the globalists infiltrated the courts with activists. Due legal process, and on a relative basis, at least, the West is still far, far less corrupt than these places and countries they've come from. Merit still counts for far more than it counts in their countries, where they came from. But they still identify as citizens of these basket case corrupt poor countries, and they they do think that they're morally superior to the Westerners, because Westerners are all Nazis and fascists and Ku Klux Klan and so on. So you've got this 6 out of 10 are foreign born. They're not even Western citizens, and they have this. Some of them have quite thick accents from the countries they've come from. Take this Parag Agrawal guy, who's the previous CEO of Twitter. He hasn't got a kind thing to say about the West and about white people and white society, and yet he's the chief censor of a social media platform. Go figure. So you look at the rest of the other 3 are there's 1 lesbian, 2 homosexuals. None of them are Gentiles, and there are strident activists for the LGBTQ cause. Some of them are openly promoting that homosexual sex should be available for 13 and 14-year-olds. And then one person is like a deep state operative and former working for the deep state hit squad to try and undermine Donald Trump's presidency and to go after Republican people, anyone that was in opposition to the globalist project, who was prominent and had a following. So, a hitman, effectively a hitman for the globalists. I don't think he's gay, but anyway, so he's probably the only one that doesn't fall into the foreign national and gay, lesbian, Jewish sort of extraction. So that's the top 10. Now, it's not possible to have 10 out of 10 censors, the most senior and influential and powerful censors, people who can censor anyone they want off the social media platform, and have all of them have this serious, intense hatred of everything Western, everything white, everything Christian, everything straight white male. This absolutely visceral hatred of it all, and this insane, delusional belief that Nazis are everywhere and they're fighting back against Nazis, and they're allowed to do this without any accountability to the Constitution, to the law. Now, not that they aren't being egged on by the globalist cabal. I mean, they are. That's clear. The globalist cabal's represented coming, hey, we want you to get rid of this guy, get rid of that guy. So they've put people in place who are disposed to do it, who don't think the law means anything, and just thinks because someone's straight and white means that they're Hitler and that sort of stuff. So these are the sort of people that are really, making these decisions. Even I mean, if you go to the next tier of people, some of who, by comparison, you'd say were moderate, the next level of censors, they're easily and readily inclined to believe that Nazis are everywhere, and Hitler was just seen going out the back door a few moments ago, and they're readily inclined to believe that, and to believe that the Nazis are everywhere and about to take over, and they can make, again, the most fantastic claims about the gay lesbian community. We're all about to be killed. We're all about to die because Hitler. And you look at these people. These they're very mentally, they're very fragile, extremely fragile. And they're inclined to just bury their head in their hands and start boo-hooing on the desk and crying. And even that Vijaya Gade, who's supposed to be the big powerful woman stopping the evil fascist Nazis, she breaks down and cries at meetings. So we've been told, because of the pain and suffering she has to endure fighting back against all these Nazis. I mean, give me a fucking break, Jesus. So again, it's just not possible to have that many people with that vitriolic hatred of white society, of Western society, of America, and of straight white people. It's just not possible to have them all in the same job at the same time. So clearly they've been selected purely because they hate white people and hate white society. So that's the world that the globalists are creating, the globalist cabal, and that's what they're pushing, and that's what Mr. Musk is dismantling. And I hope that he puts something in its place that I don't mind personally that people get banned, providing that banning is completely equal across the board. As soon as anyone says even the slightest negative thing about white people, then they have to be banned as well. And if that's happening, then I'm okay with that, provided everyone is treated with the same, treated equally in that sense, that you say something unpleasant or nasty or whatever about anyone, whether they're white or not white, or Jewish or not Jewish, or female or not female. It doesn't matter. If you're going to say something, everyone gets banned, and that's fine. Now, the left and the globalists complain and scream that, well, no, we're allowed to ban the other guys because they're all Nazis, but you can't ban us because we're the morally superior ones. Well, no, you're not. You're not fucking morally superior. You haven't got one 1 ounce of moral superiority over anyone. You're an evil bunch of fucks. So don't give me this moral superiority argument. You've been with Tacitus today, your pushback channel, and thank you for listening.